Today I'm putting together a vibration table. I need one of these so that I can cast bubble-free concrete parts. This is what concrete looks like without bubbles, and here it is with bubbles. Version 1 of the vibration table has a non-slip coating on the top side. It also includes premium DIY vibration dampening rubber feet. Those aspects of this table turned out great, and I think for smaller projects, say if I was mixing up this amount of concrete, then this size table would be perfect. But as it is, I'm sitting at about a half a liter or 16 ounces of concrete, and that's just a bit too much for this size table. The other issue was my motor selection was not great. It spins a bit too fast. I was able to turn it down with this variable speed fan controller, but it wasn't enough. I need more like that amount of movement, not a super high frequency small movement for removing the bubbles from the concrete. I could upgrade to a DC motor with a larger weight on it and maybe just mount that using some pipe hangers, but I figured I wanted to push things a little bit further and get a much larger motor. But before I move on to that, I'll go over some of the details about the tabletop edition. There was an old blender motor in my electronic stash that was easy to add small weights to. It needed a mounting plate. This was easy enough to make with some stock aluminum I had laying around. But for most people, this is one of the reasons why I recommend a standard DC motor that can be attached to the tabletop with an inexpensive pipe hanger or something similar. At the moment, there is quite a bit of silicone mold making material laying around my shop, so I decided to make use of it for this project. First up was the Sorta Clear 40. That, fun fact, is 9 years past the expiration date and still worked great. This stuff was super viscous, and it could hardly be considered self-leveling, but with various techniques I managed to get it mostly flat. There was no way that the bubbles could be removed from this stuff, it was just way too thick. That, however, did not affect the functionality. The surface is quite durable and, most importantly, non-slip. Really non-slip. Next up was casting the rubber feet. For this I used EcoFlex 0030. This particular silicone is not only quite soft, but its tensile strength is also very low. This means that it does not resist deformation. If I used a harder and stronger rubber, the vibrations may translate into what the table is sitting on. This mix degassed easily and then flowed into the 3D printed molds. The molds were first sprayed with some shellac to seal the small gaps in the prints. The first batch that I made had no release agent applied to it. EcoFlex does not typically stick to many surfaces, but it bonded permanently to the shellac. For the next batch, I used a tiny amount of Man Ease Release 200. Literally a single spray over the surface followed by a wipe down with my rubber glove was enough to eject the parts cleanly with no residual stickiness on the rubber. The tabletop version got a 3D printed housing. The blender motor was very loud, so to help cut down on the noise a bit, I added some cork sheets. I feel that one of the nicest details about this design was how these insert nuts functioned within the overall housing. The rubber feet are designed to work with extra wide washers. Without the washers, any bolt or screw would pull through the flimsy center of the rubber and cause the feet to fall right off. The housing fit perfectly, but in the end, the motor gets way too hot to be in contact with the 3D printed plastic. If you plan to wire up your table like this one, be aware that hot glue or some thread lock may be needed to prevent the screws from backing out due to the vibrations. Everything came together nicely on this version, but the rubber feet were really the star of the show. The motor, on the other hand, had various problems. The biggest of them was its super high RPM, possibly in the range of 30,000.
It was so fast that even the high-frequency vibrations disappeared at full speed. Also note that the bubbles at the bottom of the dish fail to break their hold. Again, I recommend a small DC motor for this size table that has a decent sized weight on it and spins at or below 10,000 RPM. Also,
for this particular table, I mounted the motor in a vertical configuration, and that causes the table to move in a horizontal fashion. And what I found is that bubbles accumulate around the edge of the container, but not so much in the center. If I really want to pull the air out of the concrete that I'm working with, I have to move it vertically instead of horizontally. So when I mount this motor, I'm going to be sure to not mount it like this, but rather like this.
One of the things that I really liked about this motor in particular is that there are 6 of these metal plates on either side of the housing. These can be adjusted as needed to reduce the amount of vibration force created by the motor. By default, it makes 60 pounds of force. I adjusted this down by about half and then reinstalled the cover. My tabletop build was not going to be robust enough to hold down this new motor, so I decided to upgrade my painting table. For connecting all of these parts, I was sure to pick up some nylon lock washers. These are vibration resistant and will be far less likely to get loose over time. Because the table is quite thin, I wanted to spread the intensity of the motor out over a wide area rather than just bolt it to the center of the table. My idea for this was to mount the motor on a cushion of silicone that was left over from a mixing pot. I screwed up in my order of operations here and drilled the bolt holes in the table before creating a recess on the top side. It's always best to start with a Forstner bit and drill the through hole afterwards. If you find yourself in this situation, you can use a scrap piece of wood to make a guide for the bit. Problem solved. I had originally considered a pull chain switch for this table, but my concern is that it would be literally shaken to pieces. So I just hardwired the motor to a spare extension cord. If you are unfamiliar with these wire colors, the correct connections are black to brown, white to blue, and green to yellow. Speaking of being shaken to pieces, this table is anything but sturdy. To add some weight and reinforcement, I decided to bolt a 1/2-inch piece of MDF to the bottom. The bolts to attach it were pulled from the original feet. The vibration dampening feet from version 1 worked so well that I wanted to try them out on this design too. I wasn't sure how they would perform with 10 times more weight on them, but I was not disappointed. The table is reasonably quiet at about 65 decibels. It's not at all unpleasant to work around. Vibrations carry uniformly through the whole table, and the rubber feet prevent any of that motion from translating into the ground. I think I may try a skim coat of silicone on the top side of this table just like I did the first. Anything that isn't super heavy wants to walk all over the place and needs to be held down. Despite that, this version works great for what it was designed to do. The bubbles come streaming out of the concrete, especially when I pin the mixing container down. After a minute or two, the concrete is essentially bubble-free and ready to pour into my mold. Unlike other concrete vibration methods, the table allows the mold to be filled and vibrated at the same time. This opens up a lot of possibilities that I want to experiment with more in the future. Here's the difference that the vibration table makes in my finished parts. On the bottom side of the bowl, there are definitely still some bubbles. This seems to be a result of the heavily rounded shape of the casting. I plan to do a video on how I made the mold for these castings as part of a series that should be out in a few weeks or so. As designed, the large table does a great job shaking up to about 50 pounds. The total cost for the tabletop version would be around $60 with the purchase of a vibration motor and silicone rubber for the feet. The large version clocks in at about the same price as well. This, of course, depends on you having a table to use. Considering how mine turned out with a desk pulled from a dumpster years ago, just about anything should work. Check the description for links to all the products used in this video and the 3D printed molds for the rubber feet. Be sure to like and subscribe to see future videos on all sorts of fun stuff just like this. Thanks for watching.